Welcome back, everybody. Okay, today I want to talk to you guys about a company, but before I do want to say that I'm not quite ready to do the oil cooler install yet. All I'm waiting for is my oil. I literally have everything but the oil, and the last thing that I was actually waiting for was these right here, and we're going to talk about these. So first, I want to talk to you guys about a company called Street Faction Engineering and the cool things that they do. In fact, the two products that I bought from them, I was really impressed with them. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But first, I do want to say that I am not sponsored by Street Faction. I bought all the parts myself. They didn't send me anything, and I'm not being paid for this video. This really is my opinion. So, with that being said, what I am going to do is I am going to take my gauge. I'm going to take this gauge and I'm going to put it into my air vent. Now, as you can see, let me move this out of the way. The problem with doing this is the gauge is a lot smaller than the air vent. I mean, they don't line up. There's a big gap. And I know that, like, my brother had told me, he's like, just use PVC pipe, and that's probably a really good idea. However, I wanted to go a different route. Now, this is not the vent out of my car. This is just a spare one I have. I'm using for demonstration of this video. That way I don't have to tear apart my door panel to actually use this. Z's are notorious for these breaking, so these are just some I have laying around. Okay, so with doing this, the first thing I did, naturally, is look on YouTube and check the forums to see if anyone has actually done this. And I found one person. He makes a really clean video. It's actually really good. And he's in Europe. I believe Germany, but don't quote me on that. He's the only person I've found that's done it. Even checking the forums, nobody has really done it. They just kind of mentioned the same guy. They're like, yeah, somebody in Europe did it. So what he actually has a 3D printer that he uses himself. It's his own, which is a huge investment. So for me to get a 3D printer just to make a gauge pod is just unnecessarily too expensive. So that's where Street Faction Engineering comes in. These guys did this awesome gauge pod, and they actually offer two. So online, it's called the angled and the flat 350Z air vent gauge pod. Now, online the pictures are pretty clear, but I still couldn't tell. They have one listed as angled and one listed as flat. This is the flat, this is the angled. Online, I thought the angled was literally this beveled edge right here. This is the flat one, and it looked like it was just completely squared off, cut flat. I could not tell that it had a bevel to it at all. And this one is the angled one, and it looked like it was beveled like this all the way around. It looked pretty even. I could not tell that this actually sits the gauge at an angle in the pod itself. So this will actually set the gauge at an angle, as you can see, towards the driver, or I guess wherever you really wanted to angle it towards. So I have this one, and this is not quite what I wanted to do. I wanted it to be pretty flat and flush, and I wanted it to almost look like that's the way it came. So I ordered the second one. And this is the way it sits. And then this sits inside of this. In here, you pop this out. There's a screw on the back of this, which I've already removed. You pop the venti things out. I'm assuming I would have to cut some of this mesh out of here. And then this actually sits inside of this. I'm not going to shove this in all the way because it's a really tight fit, and I've already said this is not the one I'm going to be using, and I don't want to have to try to destroy it to get it back out. So, and then this whole thing slides right into the original spot where you have, mind you, I didn't push it down all the way. So then it will sit in there very similar to that, which is kind of what I was going for. Now, with that being said, you have to do some wiring. The wiring harness they give you for the gauge isn't nearly long enough to go through the door, through the firewall, connect to your power. So I've had to order some quick disconnects to disconnect between the door panel and the gauge. That way I can still remove my door panel. And then also some quick disconnects to go between the sensors and the wiring. That way I can take out, say, my sandwich plate without having 6 feet of cable attached to my sandwich plate or the sensor that's in my sandwich plate. So I've got that. I have some fuses that plug into your fuse box that also allow another fuse to plug into them. I don't know what they're called. I got them on Amazon. They're like $5. Those are pretty simple. And then I got some Teflon tape to use for the fittings into the sandwich plate. So literally we have everything we need, and I was just waiting on these 2 gauge pods, which they do take a little bit of time to get to you, a couple of weeks. These guys make them when you order them. So these aren't just sitting on a shelf waiting for you to order and then they just send them out to you. That's not the way it happens. But what you get is a really, really high quality piece. Again, it's just 3D printed. They didn't do anything extra to like sand it off or anything. They just give it to you the way that it's printed, which I've never had a 3D printed part, and it's actually really cool. I like the way it feels. I'm going to sand it to where everything will fit in there correctly. And I don't think I'm going to paint it unless after sanding it, it starts to turn white or something like that. Then I might have to paint it. So we'll see how that goes. However, this is just an update, and I just kind of wanted to talk about this company because it's really cool that these guys offer a part that I have literally seen one person on YouTube use. And he made his own. He didn't even use this company. So if you guys are needing gauge pods, you guys, even if you don't have a Z, these guys make stuff for all kinds of cars. Check them out. They're really, really awesome. Thanks, and have a good day, guys.